afternoon everybody. So today we'll be dealing with class immunosuppressants. So here immunosuppressants are used for the betterment of the person. Immunity, in the last class we have studied vaccines and all, where we want to boost the postal immunity to fight against diseases. But sometimes this immunity can be harmful for the person also. In case such as cancer treatment. So in case of treatment of cancer, in case of treatment of some of the immune mediated diseases, okay, there are diseases where immunity is acting against the host persons, maybe rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, okay, in such conditions. And also in cases where we are using the graft organ transplantation. In all these cases we need immunosuppressants, where this will be helpful in the person's treatment. So classification of the drugs used here, we have inhibitors of lymphocyte gene expression, okay, we have glucocorticoids. You have already learned that corticosteroids are the universal immunosuppressant. Okay, so do you remember where we can use these corticosteroids, glucocorticoids? Primarily we are using it in asthmatic conditions, bronchial asthma, okay, some of the renal disorders, glomerulonephritis, in all conditions where immunity is enhanced. We have calcineurin inhibitors, specific T cell inhibitors like cyclosporin, tacrolimus. Cyclosporin is the important anti-cancer drug. mTOR inhibitors such as sirolimus, everolimus, these are primarily used for graft rejection cases and to maintain the grafts, and also for the transplant cases. Anti-proliferative drugs, azathioprine, methotrexate, mycophenolate, mofetil, these are the primary anti-cancer drugs. Anti-proliferative anti-cancer drugs, methotrexate is the most commonly used drug. It is used in rheumatoid arthritis, okay. Cyclophosphamide, chlorambucil, again belonging to anti-cancer too. So biological agents, do you remember we used TNF-alpha inhibitors in rheumatoid arthritis, DMARDs, we had this drug, okay, TNF-alpha inhibitors, that is etanercept, infliximab, adalimumab. And we also know that interleukins and TNF-alpha, these are the agents which are released during inflammation. So we need to decrease the levels of IL-1, IL-2, that is interleukin 1, interleukin 2, their level should be decreased. And for that we have interleukin 1 receptor antagonist, anakinra, rilonacept. Interleukin 2 receptor antagonist, we have daclizumab, basiliximab, all these things. And also we have read about this monoclonal antibodies. So single clone antibodies using our recombinant DNA technology. We have anti-CD3 antibody, that is muromonab, and anti-CD52 antibody, that is alemtuzumab. So coming to the inhibitors of immune cell adhesion, that is efalizumab, that is the immune cells, if they adhere to one another, there can be increased immune response, okay, T cells, B cells, all these natural killer cells, all these cells, what they do, they go on activating the chain reaction where immunity is enhanced. There we need to use this efalizumab. Tolerogens or inhibitors of immune cell co-stimulation, that is abatacept and belatacept. So polyclonal antibodies we have, that is anti-thymosin antibody and Rho immunoglobulin. In vaccines did we study about these immunoglobulins? Yes. Okay, so we have studied part of these subject in different topics, and today we are reading all these topics at a single. We can study these subjects in anti-cancer drugs, anti-rheumatoid arthritis, anti-gout, where we have studied these topics in part. Today we are summarizing all the immunosuppressants. Corticosteroids we might have studied in different topics. It may be in rheumatoid arthritis directly as anti-asthmatic agents. Okay, so how this act? Okay, so you can see here how the immunosuppression is taking place, and they are affecting the basic immune mediation processes. Okay, so immunity, basically we have T cells, B cells. Okay, so T cells and B cells, their functions, how they are inhibited. Inhibition of the interleukin 1 and TNF gene expression. Yes, corticosteroids can bring this reaction. Activation of the T lymphocyte, that is decreased. Decrease in the activation, decrease in the further down chain events. Neutrophil function is decreased. Antibody production, that is also decreased. Release of kinin and pro-inflammatory prostaglandins. Prostaglandins, we should remember, these are also the mediators of the inflammation. So all these steps are inhibited by the or decreased by the corticosteroid action. Decreased lymphocyte mobilization, that means lymphocytes are not mobilized to the inflammatory zones, and thereby further downstream inflammatory reaction is prevented. So corticosteroids, these are universal immunosuppressants. That means they inhibit good immunity, bad immunity, everything. So what the side effects we can expect here? So occur commonly because in this immunosuppression we are using the corticosteroids at very high dose, maybe like prednisolone 1 milligram per kg body weight. We are using that at 3 times daily dosage, and 3 times daily dosage, what will happen? There will be hypothalamo pituitary adrenal axis suppression. So nowadays we are using the single dose early morning dosage. Like previously the patient was 60 kg person, 1 milligram per kg was 60 milligram per kg. So we will divide it into 3 doses, 20 morning, 20 afternoon, 20 evening. So what had happened, this would suppress this hypothalamo pituitary axis, and complete suppression of the central nervous system will be there. Central action of this hormone was there. So we are using like 60 milligram early morning. So after the action, there can be diurnal changes in the hormonal synthesis, that can be there. Osteoporosis, you know this term? Yes? Due to excessive alcohol consumption also we got this side effect. Okay, osteoporosis will be there, means bone will become brittle. Okay, hypertension can be there, and weight gain, hyperglycemia, euphoric personality changes. Sometimes they can lead to cataract. Corticosteroid induced cataract is also seen. Coming to the next group, calcineurin inhibitors. Okay, so calcineurin inhibitors, so cyclosporin, we have, what is it? It is a basically anti-cancer drug. Okay, so it is a cyclic polypeptide. What it can do? It can inhibit the T cell proliferation, interleukin 2, and also it can bind to cyclophilin and inhibit the response of the helper T cells. So helper T cells are the one which are helping in the immune intermediate action, and thereby finally there is antibody expression. So all these steps are blocked with the help of this calcineurin inhibitor. What it can do, it can enhance the expression of TGF beta, tumor growth factor beta, which is an inhibitor of this interleukin 2. So thereby, by enhancing the action of TGF beta, interleukin 2 expression is decreased. So other cytokines where expression can be inhibited is interleukin 3 and gamma interferon. Where they can act, they are involved in signal transduction. So first they sense there is antigen in the body, there is further downstream signal transduction where final immunity of T cell B cell functioning is activated. That signal transduction mechanism is blocked. So cyclosporin, oral absorption is less. Okay, so hepatic metabolism is there. So that means in hepatic disturbances or alcoholic liver disease, we need to be careful. And it is used in combination with prednisolone. Okay, once they are usually this immunosuppressants, we are using them together so that complete immunosuppression is there, and associated side effects can be expected here. So nephrotoxicity, hepatotoxicity, hirsutism, neurotoxicity, all these things are seen as these drugs are metabolized by hepatically, the drugs which can induce or inhibit the hepatic cytochrome enzymes, there the effect can be affected. That means the drugs which inhibit the hepatic metabolism such as cimetidine, and drug which induce such as benzodiazepine barbiturates, they can increase their metabolism. Coming to the next drug, that is tacrolimus. Tacrolimus is a drug their structure is similar to macrolides. Okay, macrolides, do you remember what is macrolide? Do you remember erythromycin, azithromycin drugs? Yes. So these are the macrolide, and here tacrolimus structure is similar to our macrolide. What they do, they are similar to cyclosporine in their action, but they bind to different receptors. Again, calcineurin is inhibited and interleukin 2 expression is decreased, thereby they decrease the downstream events. Tacrolimus, the route of administration is intravenous, okay, and they can be used concomitant with corticosteroids. So the adverse effects are similar to the cyclosporine. Nephrotoxicity is there, hypersensitivity reaction can occur, hyperglycemia, GI complaints are there. Hypertension, nephrotoxicity, hyperglycemia are similar to corticosteroids. Coming to the next group, that is mTOR inhibitor, that is sirolimus. Sirolimus, tacrolimus, everolimus, these are commonly used for graft, okay, like skin graft, it may be renal transplantation, where you use them commonly. So where they can bind to FKBP, but finally they are inhibiting this calcineurin. Once they bind to calcineurin, we know this there is no activation of this T lymphocyte activation by interleukin 2 is not there, okay, thereby T cell activation is regulated. The site of action is slightly different from cyclosporine and tacrolimus, but eventually they are acting on the T lymphocytes action, and they are selectively blocking the cytokine signal transduction. Cytokines and this chemokines, interleukins, these are all the inflammatory mediators which lead to downstream signal transduction, and finally there will be strong immune response. This immune response mediation should be prevented, means this cytokine action, interleukin action, they should be prevented. So, and if we are using this sirolimus along with other immunosuppressants, maybe corticosteroids, their action will be good. So sirolimus, oral absorption is less, hepatic metabolism, that means we should take care that we should not use a enzyme inhibitor along with them. Okay, so adverse effects are like thrombocytopenia, hyperlipidemia, all this can be there. Coming to the next drug, anti-proliferative methotrexate. Methotrexate, do you remember where we learned this drug? Can we use this drug in rheumatoid arthritis? Yes? Yes, we learned this drug in anti-rheumatoid arthritis group, okay, where we use the disease modifying anti-rheumatoid arthritis agents. Okay, it is a primarily anti-folate. It is also used as a anti-cancer drug. So here you can see this methotrexate, it can inhibit the folic acid conversion to tetrahydrofolic acid. This tetrahydrofolic acid, again, it helps in a building block for DNA synthesis. So this dihydrofolate reductase enzyme, here it is blocked and there is no conversion to tetrahydrofolic acid. So methotrexate is a cycle specific chemotherapeutic agent, and it acts on a S phase and prevents the DNA synthesis. Just remember, it prevents the conversion of folic acid metabolism inhibitor, and DNA synthesis is inhibited. But we need to remember that it can also affect the normal cells other than cancer cells also. Okay, so once it is inhibiting the cancer cell production, that is good for the body. But if it is inhibiting the normal cells, what can happen? There will be normal cell production will be decreased. So what we need to do, once the cancer cells are inhibited and we see that the blood parameters are changing, that means once we get a blood test done, routine blood counts, their normal blood count is decreased, means we need to give a rescue factor, a leucovorin factor or rescue factor, that is administration of the folic acid precursor or folic acid per se is done. So methotrexate, it can undergo hepatic and intracellular metabolism. So how it is absorbed? Okay, oral absorption is dose dependent. Okay, and bioavailability is about 60%. That is, good food delays the absorption, so it is good to give before birth. And distribution, approximately 50% is bound. That means only 50% of the drug is left for us to action and does not penetrate the blood CSF barrier. That means if any CNS tumor is there, here the drug is not that much helpful. Okay, so it can be excreted in breast milk. That means while giving to the mother, we need to be careful. And renal excretion is there. That means renal toxicity can be there. The dose and drug is varied. 80 to 90% is excreted unchanged in the urine, and 10% through biliary excretion. So coming to the next drug belonging to this group, antiproliferative drug, mycophenolate mofetil. Okay, so it is a derivative of mycophenolic acid. It inhibits the inosine monophosphate dehydrogenase involved in synthesis of purines. Purines, do you remember? These are the basic building blocks of our DNA and RNA. So, and it can selectively suppress the T cell and B cell proliferation. Okay, and it also suppresses the macrophage function. Pharmacokinetics, again, oral absorption is there and hepatically metabolized. That means we need to take care about this enzyme inducers and enzyme suppressants which can be given along with this drug. It can lead to diarrhea, leukopenia. Leukopenia is decrease in the white blood cell count. And this drug itself can induce the lymphomas. Most of the anti-cancer drugs are having this carcinogenic potential. That should be taken care. Coming to the monoclonal antibodies, we got to know now the other immunosuppressants like tacrolimus, corticosteroids, cyclophosphamide. All these are having the side effects also. They can kill the bad cells also, they can kill the good cells also. But the monoclonal antibodies, these are target specific. Okay, so if you target these cells at a particular cancerous cells, they can go and act on only these cancerous cells. Only thing is they are costlier and they can induce allergic reactions because they can be animal produced or humanized also. So Zumab is humanized. Okay, Eximab is there. So X stands for chimeric, where a rat component and also human component is there. So these monoclonal antibodies are specific and newer immunosuppressant agents. They are produced by recombinant DNA derived humanized monoclonal antibodies. Okay, here alemtuzumab, you can bind to CD52, a non-modulating antigen present on T cells and B cells. Thereby, they are blocking specific antigen on the receptor on this T cell and B cell. They can suppress their action. And some of the bone marrow cells also can express the CD4 cells. So there can be bone marrow suppression and blood cell production can be decreased. They can, as they are specific, they can specifically go and block. Less amount of drug is needed. Profound C3 cell depression will be there. Once they are decreased, we can use them for specific leukemias and lymphomas. So other antibodies used against acute reduction in organ transplantation. So nowadays we can use the liver transplantation is there, kidney transplantation is there, heart transplantation. Most of the transplant surgeries are done now, but the body will not accept these external organs. Okay, body can itself reject the baby in the womb, okay, because of some antigen antibody reactions. Do you remember rhesus factor, RH factor? You have some idea where the mother can reject the baby. Mother's immunity will try to reject the baby itself. So what about the organs which are derived from the other persons? There is always a chances of rejection. So these rejections can be prevented with the help of this drugs. Okay, this is moraminab CD3. Okay, monoclonal antibodies against the CD3 which are present on the T cells, and they can inhibit the cytotoxic T cell killer function. They can also as the circulating T cell lymphocytes and enhance their removal. And by removing this T cell lymphocyte, they can prevent the acute graft rejection reaction. Anti-lymphocyte globulin, again similar to this OKT3 polyclonal antibody, and anti-thymocyte globulin from rabbit that is used for renal transplant rejection. Adverse effects with monoclonal antibodies, primarily we need to remember all these are from animal resource also. There is always a chance that a protein which is entering the body can induce a hypersensitivity reactions. May occur with non-human antibodies resulting chills, fever, thrombocytopenia, all these things can be there. And urine thing, there is again more chances of hypersensitivity reactions. So interleukin-2 receptor antibodies directly going and blocking this interleukin-2, which can go and stimulate the T cell, that is risankizumab. It is again chimeric, that is chimeric means it contains both human part and also murine part. Chimeric murine monoclonal antibody against human interleukin-2 receptor alpha subunit, where there is failure to activate later steps, that is T cell activation. Blocks the activation and inhibits the clonal expansion of this T cells, used to induce immunosuppression for prolonged work of organ transplant patients. So organ transplant patients, how long they can survive? As long as they can use this immunosuppressants and other body functions are functioning normally, like maybe 3 years, 5 years, like that. Coming to the interleukin-2 receptor antibodies, that is again daclizumab. It is humanized, so it is better than our basiliximab, which was chimeric murine. Here it is a completely humanized. So completely humanized, there is less chances of side effects. Again blocking the interleukin-2 receptor, thereby blocking the clonal proliferation of the T cells. So just remember it is from IgG. Okay. So other antimetabolites such as methotrexate, we have azathioprine, cyclophosphamide. So they inhibit the expression of this lymphocyte proliferation, similar to our methotrexate. Coming to other interferons, okay, interferons, they can be good, they can be bad. Okay, the interferons mainly from the body, the alpha interferons are secreted against the antiviral, and this interferon beta, again it is antiviral. Gamma against macrophages and chronic granulomatous diseases such as tuberculosis. So these things which are produced from the body, they can artificially be synthesized using the recombinant DNA technology. So and using this technology, they are introducing back into the body to act against this malignant melanoma, renal cell carcinoma, hairy cell leukemia, Kaposi sarcoma. Do you remember what is this? This is the cancer produced in HIV affected patients. Okay, Kaposi sarcoma, remember it is specific to HIV affected patients. So interferon beta produced by fibroblasts, it can be acting against antiviral and also against some of the cancers. Multiple sclerosis also, relapsing type of multiple sclerosis, we can use this interferon beta. Gamma against for chronic granulomatous diseases. So cytokine inhibitors, TNF alpha inhibitors, mainly we are using it in treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. So the drugs are etanercept, infliximab, anakinra. So etanercept, it is recombinant version. Infliximab is a chimeric. So chimeric is more antigenic, more chances of hypersensitivity reactions. Anakinra, again this is a human interleukin receptor antagonist, thereby prevent the T cell proliferation. And it can also be used in rheumatoid arthritis. So do you remember passive immunity which we provided during the vaccines? Okay, so active immunity is by vaccination, passive immunity is by immunoglobulins. A mother transfers these immunoglobulins to the baby with the help of the breast milk. Okay, the passive immunity till the baby develops its own immunity. Okay, that is what is passive immunity, which is provided by the immunoglobulin. And we also told in the last class, in the vaccine class, that for dog bite we are using the latest vaccines. Okay, these vaccines, they take some time for the action, and we told that locally at the site of dog bite we give the rabies immunoglobulins. Okay, similar to that we can use these immunoglobulins for other things. Okay, anti-RHD immunoglobulin, it is for Rh positive baby. Okay, so what can happen? The baby can die if the mother's antibodies crosses it, and mother can die if the baby's antibodies are crossing there. Okay, this placenta is acting as a barrier against this transfer of this immunoglobulins. It is a powerful barrier, but what happens at the near the time of delivery, this placenta gets aging of this placenta, because this placenta has only 9 months of age. Okay, so at the termination, what can happen? The baby cells can pass over to mother, and thereby there they can induce a immune reaction. So at these cases, what we need to do, we first identify that mother is Rh negative, father is Rh positive. Then we need to take a precaution. Within next few hours of the baby's delivery, we need to give this RHD immunoglobulin to the mother. Okay, after delivery of the Rh positive baby, we need to give this RHD immunoglobulin. We also have this abciximab. We can use it for coronary angioplasty and restenosis occurring there. Rituximab, anti-CD20, it is used against this mature B cells and for treatment of this Hodgkin's lymphoma. Just remember, it is a type of cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma.